attack chopper! Get down! Hold on to something!
First-person shooters have been dominating this gaming generation, which as a result has brought us both good and bad games. All developers seem to be interested in becoming the next Call of Duty franchise, but can THQ's own modern military shooter Homefront succeed with this? Is the madness of North Korea enough to take a new spin on the genre? With the death of Supreme Leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-il, his son and successor Kim Jong-un reunites North and South Korea to form the Greater Korean Republic. As time passes by, the world starts to suffer by economic crisis, which starts unfriendly tensions between countries, and as a result, war starts to outrage between countries, which in itself starts a global war, and the Greater Korean Republic manages to grow in power by taking over several countries, such as Japan and the whole Southeast Asia. Because of the resulting chaos that troubles the world, Kim Jong-un manages to grow in power, and the Korean superstate launches an orbital weapon and detonates it, creating an EMP that destroys all electrical infrastructure in USA, and it begins an occupation attack. Some years after the initial attack by Greater Korean Republic on USA, you get to play as Robert Jacobs, a former Marine Corps combat helicopter pilot, who after being saved from the Korean troops by American resistance fighters, decides to join them and fight back in hopes of saving the country. It's good to see a military shooter finally take a somewhat other take on the generic war stories by making the USA as a victim instead of the typical Russian Middle East setting. The game tries to engage you by showcasing some disturbing footage, showing the horrors of war, but in the end, the story falls short and becomes just a very cliché story that falls back together with all the other generic story shooters. If you're searching for a deep story, this game doesn't bring it out.
Gameplay.
In terms of gameplay, Homefront won't offer anything new. The game gives a clear vibe that no invention has been taken and just has copied everything from the modern military shooters. You have the standard gun and run sequences, sneaking and vehicle missions. You'll be swarmed with enemies and being behind cover is a must, as being an open will result in a very fast death. The shooting feels very good and the game offers a very big variety of weapons, where all feel different. The game tries to really focus on the cinematic concept of gameplay. You'll play in a very linear environment to the extent that it looks dumb, or will annoy you. There are no choices, and most of the time, you have everything served in front of you, in the sense of following your comrades, executing moves which are heavily scripted. Because of this linear gameplay experience, you'll encounter some awkward moments, where the AI sometimes is out of touch, which leads to sequences of just standing still, waiting for the AI to get a hold of what it's actually supposed to do, so you can advance further. The multiplayer component of Homefront is focused on large-scale vehicle-based combat, which comes with the standard team deathmatch and capture and control points. It also features a leveling system and in-game currency called battle points, which you gain from completing objectives and getting kills. You can then spend these points on weapons, gear and vehicles. There is nothing special about the multiplayer, but in the end it's fun and will keep your interest for a while, and it somehow compensate on the really short campaign, which you'll complete in less than 5 hours.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to California! Clear those vehicles from the overhead!
Presentation.
Kaos has taken over the world, and Homefront gives you a real good view on how it can look. When it comes to the graphical point, the game looks good enough to being able to showcase the real brutality of war with some really disturbing footage, combined with gunfire and explosions. Because of the driven linear experience, it will feel as you're playing along in a movie when you're in the middle of a gunfight with swarming enemies towards you, combined with energetic and dramatic soundtrack, makes up for an astonishing feel, and the result will encounter several breathtaking moments. If you are in search for a game with over-the-top action, this game will deliver.
I think you're getting a bad end of that deal.
verdict.
Homefront could be a so much better game if it would have the courage to do something new or different. Instead, you'll get a first-person shooter that won't offer anything new, as clearly no thoughts on taking new ideas have been made, and as a result, you'll experience a very linear, short and generic single player, combined with a mediocre multiplayer. In the end, Homefront falls short compared to its competitors, and because of this, it's really hard justifying buying the game, unless it's at a very cheap price, as the game has too many flaws and the execution feels somewhat unfinished.
Snuggle up and keep a low ceiling. We're gonna come in right under those guns.
We've got a couple of unidentified aircraft headed toward your position. Does anyone have a visual?
Here they come!